You want me to say wannabe dictator?
Sure, you can say wannabe dictator, but I don't even think he wants to be a dictator.
Of course he does. That's what you do when you lose an election and you go, oh, I got fake electors and I'd like to terminate the Constitution and bring out the tanks and use martial law against American citizens and shoot protesters. I mean, if that's not fascist.
Well, all I gotta say is that TYT at this moment in time is just the gift that keeps on giving. It's probably gonna be like the first of like 2 or 3 videos that are gonna be coming out featuring TYT over the next couple of days. And of course, this was obviously the first of those videos. We got another video coming out tomorrow to also talk more about the garbage comment that Joe Biden laid on half the country. But of course, Joe Biden is also out here putting babies' foots in his mouth, eating. Yeah, look. I'm not going to make fun of Joe Biden for that. I obviously understand that old people, grandparents, obviously, I understand how they are with babies and whatnot. I'm not going to sit here and beat up on Joe for that. That's not what I'm doing. So you won't see me do that there. But you've also got Donald Trump out here campaigning in a garbage man or a vest to obviously troll the whole garbage comment. Actually quite brilliant when you think about it. I may do a video on that a little bit later on, but you guys are obviously seeing it here in the B-roll footage. But we got to talk about TYT, and we got to talk about Anna Kasparian, and quite frankly, checking Cenk on this topic of constantly calling Trump a fascist. But there's also a little bit more to this segment than just them calling Trump a fascist, which is something that they've done themselves ridiculously. And I mean ridiculously over the years. Now, before we get started, let me play this little clip that is back from the 2016 election. It's that night. It was the clip that came from Dame Pesos because he did a very, very good compilation of their reaction to the 2016 election. And let's see exactly how far Anna Kasparian has come. Look at all this.
I went outside to take a breather, have a beer, and now I'm back and I'm fired up, okay? Yes, we have the internet, but it takes a significant time or a significant amount of time and resources to sit there and research all the issues on your own. I have no respect for women who voted for Trump, okay?
Yeah. Me too.
I think so poorly of them, and the reason why is because, look, I don't think that you're a single issue voter. I just think you're dumb, okay? I think you're fucking dumb. I'm losing my mind tonight because of how stupid the majority of the country.
So that was Anna then, and since then, she's obviously left the left. She's obviously woke up on a few issues, and not only has she woke up on a few issues, she's also starting to see that this fascism angle does not work. And see, it feels to me like what Anna Kasparian is trying to do is she's trying to pull the left back to some form of common sense. But I can tell you right now it's not going to happen. It's another reason why it is that I believe that after this year she will no longer be at TYT. Or her leaving will come soon after. My thinking when I said she'll be gone is probably after the election. But it's possible that she may stick around for a little while. It's possible she may continue to try to save the left from itself. But she's starting to see at this moment in time it's just not going to happen. But as always, before we look at this, make sure you guys please cut the notifications on for the channel. Make sure you guys please also hit the like button so that way the video will pick up in the algorithm. Also share the video. Once again, hit the notifications so that way you guys are notified when the video comes out. And also, one more thing, too. You guys can follow me on Facebook. I'm putting the card right here for you guys to just simply type in there. Go ahead and follow me there. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the post when I actually post it there, not just the video, so that way it will go up the algorithm. Also, something else to share it. And, of course, you guys can also follow me on Twitter or X. I still call it Twitter from time to time because that's what I've always known it to be, Twitter. But you guys can follow me there, and let us go ahead and get into this. So, the conversation of the mainstream media wanting to use the phrase Trump is a fascist and double down on this, triple down on it, quadruple down on it, is something that the mainstream media is going to at this moment in time. And it's mostly because they really and truly don't have anything else left to brand him with. And as I'll explain over the course of this video, that there are other reasons why it is, outside people being numb to it, why it is this fascism line does not work, especially given everything that we've gone through since, I would say, probably 2013. I'll bring that back up, why 2013 in particular. But let's go ahead and get to it.
American community needs to be reminded and cannot forget. He wants to ban Muslims, he wants to deport Muslims, and he wants to start internment camps. And that's what we are busy talking to every voter. He's telling you what he's going to do. Believe him.
Internment camps?
Yes. He has talked internment camps. You know what, Jake? You may have to visit me in one. I get worried enough when he talks about what he's going to do to his political enemies.
Okay, on yesterday's episode of The Lead, Democratic representative, of course, Debbie Dingell, told Jake Tapper that Trump was going to send her to an internment camp. But unfortunately, she's far from the only pundit and lawmaker who's panicked about the possibility of being thrown in prison or an internment camp should Donald Trump get elected for a second term. In fact, let's watch a clip from yesterday's episode of The View in which Mika Brzezinski also broke down.
Okay, before we get to Mika Brzezinski and The View, I do want to say this right here about internment camps. Trump at one point in time did talk about facilities for migrants to be put into before deportation. Do you guys see what I'm talking about here? He mentioned facilities to put migrants in for deportation. And they immediately go with internment camps. But of course, Debbie Dingell, who by the way is one of the crazier members of the Democratic Party, definitely one of the more paranoid ones, don't worry, she'll start taking on the face of Nancy Pelosi here real soon. She's just flipped out. She's just crazy. You see how these guys love to manipulate language? That's also going to be a bit of a theme in this video, so make sure you guys stick around. So let's go ahead and get to the next segment featuring Mika Brzezinski.
Sent into fascism if we so choose. Normalizing January 6th, it's a day of love. It's a day of love. I'll say it again and again and again. Normalizing enemy from within. I'll say it again and again. I'll say it again and again until you get tired of it, until it's not so funny anymore, or you think he doesn't mean it until you realize he does mean it and it's too late. Saying these strict abortion bans are a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you kidding me? We got to wake up. And here's the good news, because I come with such dire warnings, and I mean them from the bottom of my heart as a daughter of refugees who came here escaping war, came here for America to be a part of a democracy, to be a part of building something beautiful where they could be free. I'm telling you, the good news is that I believe women will be the beacon in this election.
Am I losing my mind in feeling that this hyperbolic rhetoric is not helpful?
Okay, as you guys can see, obviously by that question that Anna sort of asked Cenk or asked the audience, you can see that Anna is beginning to wake up to the idea that maybe calling somebody a fascist over and over again just doesn't work. She's already beginning to get numb to it, just like everybody else in the country is. And like I said, we'll be bringing that back up a little bit later on. But also another theme of this video is, could he actually get something like that done? Well, let me go ahead and tell you what Donald Trump could do, or any president could do when it comes to this topic of deportations. What they could do is sign an executive order, and the executive order, it would basically have to go through the Supreme Court. Somebody would file a lawsuit, or it will go through, and the Supreme Court will either A, say the president can do this or not. If the president can do this, Border Patrol will then, at that point in time with ICE, they will go on a trip to try to find all the illegals they can, and they more than likely would put them inside of a brand new facility for holding until an actual official word comes down. And of course, there's also a vetting process that has to go through that. It takes a while to actually deport somebody, but going back to what Trump was saying, or what the mainstream media was telling you about internment camps, these right here are holding facilities, normal basic holding facilities. Trump is talking about using the federal budget to build more of them, probably through the Build Back Better plan, probably through the stuff that Joe Biden signed, of course, the American Rescue Act, also the Inflation Reduction Act. By the way, what I'm saying is that this right here is a lot. This is money that did not really get spent. This is money that got put on the books to be spent later on. He could just simply reallocate most of those funds and put them back into the government and other offices and other positions. It's kind of an odd process on how he does it, but he can in fact do that. The most he could do is sign an executive order and put these people inside housing facilities, which are not actual internment camps. You guys see what I'm saying? It's how they manipulate language. Internment camps obviously sounds much, much worse. It sounds pretty daggone bad. But in reality, they're not internment camps. Internment camps were literal camps where people were like held because of their race, not to be deported, but because during World War II, we were at war with Japan. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to link everything back to World War II, which is kind of funny too, because when you actually look at the current left, their ideology actually fits more fascism than Donald Trump does. Another brand new explanation at a later date. Donald Trump is not a fascist. He's very, very much a pro-capitalist person. And of course, if he wanted to be a fascist, then he probably would have governed like a fascist in his first term, which of course he did not. But let's continue.
Yeah, well, 50-50 in my opinion. So when Debbie Dingell says he's going to start internment camps, he never said that. That is not helpful. On that, you're 100% right. Because once she says something that he didn't say, then not only the right wing, but independents will discount every other thing you've said. Not just every other thing you've said, but every other thing that anyone on the left has said. He never said internment camps. Don't say that. Now, on the other hand, Republicans, you keep denying something he 100% did say. He said, I want a total and complete shutdown on Muslims entering the country. That was back when he...
Okay, now, there's a lot that Cenk says in this bit that's actually inaccurate, which of course he was accurate about what I was just saying about the internment camps. Donald Trump never said that. But still, though, at the same time, though, there is a lot to come from Cenk here that's just flat out wrong and nonsensical, which also goes to one of the biggest problems that the modern left in this country has. They don't understand civics. They don't understand rhetoric. They really don't, which will come up in later videos. But here's the thing. What Cenk is about to say here about the Muslim ban is just something that just did not happen. But I'm going to let Anna answer, and then I'm going to fill in the blanks and add the additional context of what really and truly happened when that topic came up.
Everybody keeps, you know why they pretend that he didn't say that? Because that sounds uncomfortable, because it's obviously bigoted.
Okay, he did say that. Donald Trump says a lot of dumb crap, okay? A lot of hateful crap, a lot of dumb crap, a lot of undemocratic crap. But like, let's just finish the rest of the story, right? Because he said that about the Muslim ban. He tried to implement the Muslim ban. And then what happened, Cenk? What happened after that?
We fought back,
right?
And people went to the airports, good Americans.
No, that didn't matter at all, okay? That action, I know it makes us feel real good about ourselves. I'm not trying to discount it, but we have a system in place, okay? We have a judicial system. It went through the courts. It was challenged in the courts and it was struck down.
Okay, let me tell you what Anna is leaving out. And this is something else that Cenk is leaving out. If you guys remember back in 2016, Trump, of course, during his campaign for the first time he won the presidency, Trump came out and said, I'm calling for a Muslim ban. Okay, I don't have the clip with me right now, but I'll link it in the description box for you. He was calling for a Muslim ban because we had just had, guess what, another shooting. The shooting was Muslim. We had had terrorist incidents. And the perpetrators of those incidents, we later on found out to be Muslims. I understand I have to say it kind of a funny way, but if you guys remember, it's normally a Facebook meme at this point in time. I mean, I'm not trying to bash Muslims. That's not what I'm doing. Obviously, I understand that there are people like Dylan Roof who are white who do very, very bad things. I understand that, obviously, not making a comparison. I'm just simply saying that at the time, there were a lot of shootings and attacks, not just in the United States, but across the world, and we found out that they were, done mostly Muslims. Then Trump would have to change the language and say people from nations that are war-torn. Nations like, say, Syria, for example, because Syria was kind of the hot spot at the time. So eventually he changed the language on that, and that right there is what he eventually tried to implement. But I don't even think he really tried to implement it because it never really and truly got through, nor did Congress even try to do anything about it. Which, the president could have fixed this with an executive order, but ultimately it got shut down. So, yeah, Anna is somewhat right. It never actually went through, nor could anybody expect for it to actually go through. But still, though, an all-out Muslim ban is not exactly what would end up being what Trump would push for. He said it, then he would later on come out and he would try to change it to people from certain nations, people from war-torn nations, people from nations that, quite frankly, can't stand us, people who, quite frankly, hate the country's guts. Let's continue.
Okay, number 3, people saw all that and were like, yay, I love Trump, let's ban Muslims, yay. Be honest, okay? So we want to take another shot. And number 3 or 4, whatever I'm on, he has his own dumbass judges now littering the country. So one of them threw out a perfectly good criminal case against him. And very, very important, wherever you're going, Syracuse, Penn State, wherever you're going, right? And he's like, oh yeah, that's it, you're screwed. You criticized Israel and my biggest donor is a giant right-wing Israeli. Okay, so that's it, you're arrested, I rob you of all your money, I rob you of your diploma, and I deport you. I'm not gonna elect a monster like that. Debbie Dingell, you don't have to go to internment camps. He already said all this crazy stuff. So stop making us lose credibility. On the other hand, right-wingers, if you're making excuses for how anti-Muslim he is, he uses the word Palestinian as an insult. He doesn't care about Muslim lives one bit.
I haven't seen where Trump has used the word Palestinian as an insult. I've never used it as an insult, but I will say this right here. When you kill over 1,000 people, you practically invade a nation. Guess what? There's probably going to be a lot of animus towards said invader, which is pretty much what October the 7th was. There's a lot in that very, very small bit that I had to actually file down. But I think what Anna is basically asking, Cenk, is exactly what all these leftist commentators need to be asked. How do you go about implementing this? How do you go about doing this? Just like I said, this is the biggest problem that we have with the mainstream left. They believe the President of the United States is God King, Emperor, and can just do it with a stroke of a pen. When you sign an executive order, it has to go through the Supreme Court. With the Supreme Court, they then decide whether it is valid or not, whether the president can do this or not. That is the actual truth, the literal truth of a situation like this. And of course, they don't tell their audience this, which is another reason why it is that they are always all gassed up. All gassed up, maybe a good name for the channel change next month. But I'll write that down. But still, though, that is the main reason why it is these people are constantly getting things wrong and constantly emotional. Because their own leadership, their own commentary crew, the people who are giving them the information, constantly go out of their way to lie and manipulate them by not giving them the full truth. But let's continue.
You want me to say wannabe dictator?
Sure, you can say wannabe dictator, but I don't even think he wants to be a dictator.
Of course he does. That's what you do when you lose an election and you go, oh, I got fake electors and I'd like to terminate the Constitution and bring out the tanks and use martial law against American citizens and shoot protesters. I mean, if that's not fascist, I agree. Because, so Trump's helpful is rhetoric?
No, his rhetoric is awful.
Okay, if you don't want to be called fascist, stop saying fascist things. It's not that hard.
Okay.
Not that hard. Oh, here, let me have dinner with Nick Fuentes, who's a Nazi, Kanye, who's a Nazi, and let me say there's good people on the Nazi cabinet had to threaten, not cabinet, administration, his White House team had to say we're all going to mass resign if you roll out tanks against American citizens.
Okay, so if you think he's a fascist, wouldn't that justify taking physical action against him?
You mean the protesters that were burning down Washington, D.C.? You mean the protesters that were destroying all of Minneapolis? You mean the protesters who turned to rioters and started destroying cities, small businesses, especially black-owned businesses? People got killed during that, okay? So, yeah, there probably would have been some justification to, I'm not going to say it right here, but I'm pretty sure you guys can fill in the blanks. Trump has never said, by the way, that he wanted to shoot protesters. He has said that he wanted to arrest rioters and looters. He has said that. Nothing fascistic about that at all. But that right there brings me to the ultimate point of this discussion. I have to go back to a conversation I heard one night between Tucker Carlson and Jesse Kelly. And Jesse Kelly blocked me on Twitter, but it's the only thing Jesse Kelly ever said that I thought that was accurate. He said that he believed that ultimately, because of the left and the way the left acts, the country would eventually elect somebody who would be a fascist. Now, real quick, I don't believe Donald Trump is a fascist. You guys know that, especially those of you who follow me, those of you who listen to my channel. You know that I don't believe Donald Trump is a fascist. I'm one of his voters. If he was a fascist, I'd probably stay home. But no, he's not a fascist. However, anytime somebody arrests protesters or anytime somebody arrests rioters or people who are doing bad things, because this way is the worldview the left lives in, which is we can hurt you, we can do this to you, but you are not allowed to fight back or anything, they automatically deem you a fascist. What Jesse Kelly was trying to say in his comment was that eventually the American people would get sick and tired of the crime. They would get sick and tired of their daily lives not being reflected on the national news. What he was trying to say is that after a while, the people just would not care if you use the rhetoric of him being a fascist over and over and over again, because people would want somebody to come in and be a strong man and deliver some kind of order. There's one real big critique that I have of Trump from 2020. I think that critique would be he did not utilize the Insurrection Act. He did not sign it. You see, at the end of the day, this right here is just more and more and more faux rhetoric based off false pretenses, false premises. And I think Anna is starting to see this. Trump never signed the Insurrection Act. I mean, hell, like I said, I'm one of his voters, and I wish he had. Also, to go on top of that, he didn't have these protesters locked up. If anything, the people at 1-6, they're the ones who got locked up and got overcharged. But of course, we also got to deal with the crowd that says that Trump could have pardoned them when obviously he could not, because most of these people did not get charged until after he left the Oval Office. So how the hell are you going to pardon him when you're not freaking president, dumbass? But the point is this right here. People want order. People want everything to go back to the way it was. People would like to see the inflation go down. They would love to see the price of everything come down. They would like to see their paychecks actually be able to extend. They love to be able to work more than 20 hours in a week and then have to drive across town to work another job where they're only getting about maybe 16 hours a week. They would love to be able to do that. The point is this right here. If you keep screaming and hollering fascist, the only thing it does is just numb people. Nobody cares anymore, Jake. But then again, though, like I said, this right here is how the left evolves. This is how the left fully, officially dies. Their echo chamber eventually gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It's still 1/3 of the nation. That's exactly how much it'll be. But next thing you know, that 1/3 will see that they have been swallowed up by the other 2/3. But you guys in the audience, tell me what you think on that one. But of course, you see people like Anna who are on the left, who've already left the left, are now seeing this where more and more and more. They're realizing, you know what, I can't even be a Democrat anymore. These people are just too crazy. These people are lunatics. I can't even be a moderate left anymore. That right there is what Anna Kasparian is seeing. And also what I said earlier, people really and truly don't care about this fascism rhetoric. It doesn't work. But you guys tell me what you think in the comments section. Make sure you guys please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.